Joyful blessings. This is Kaylin Castell with another episode of the Sky Mysteries featuring the alchemy of Jupiter and Pluto coming together every 13 years. And we've had this happening in the year 2020. So we're going to begin by looking at Jupiter as the principle of expansion and enthusiasm. And whatever Jupiter connects with, it is expanding and also helping to bring in a new vision. Pluto, on the other hand, is about death and rebirth. It's also about empowerment through surrender. And so when these two work together, that is the ultimate alchemy that many believe can happen in terms of how can we expand the changes or the death process and the letting go so something new can come in, and Pluto is there to help with that. So this is in 2020 we've had the three conjunctions of Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. The first one was April 4th, 2020. The second was June 30th, and the third, November 12th. And you can see the sky map here. Of course, Pluto not being visible, but Jupiter and Saturn getting closer and closer in the evening sky. Now, the Capricorn mysteries represent the wise elder, the wise ones, the grandmothers and grandfathers, the prime minister, the tribal leader, the counselor, the historian, the good provider, the practical, successful business person. And it also has to do with bringing spirit into matter. And the key word here to get is responsibly administering it, ideally aligned with the structure of the universe so that it all works in harmony and co-creative process together, so that all aspects of creation are supported and sustainable based on how that how these structures of the world are being tended to. And also it has to do with how to get the most effective and the most efficient, sustainable results that work now, but also serve the generations to come. So when we think about these two planets coming together in Capricorn, there's a lot that needs to die because we do not have sustainable structures that work in our world. And there's a lot that is needing to new visions and things that need to come into place. But first, the old has to go. So if we look at the last time we had three Jupiter Pluto conjunctions, it was in 1955 and 1956. That was 65 years ago. And that happened in the sign of Leo, also happens to be the time that I was born. So I was born with a Jupiter Pluto conjunction. And then the next time will be in 2106 and '07 in the sign of Taurus, or about 80 years from now. So you can see that this is a rare event that doesn't happen that often. And of course, it hasn't happened in Capricorn in a long time, because it'll be about 240 some years before Jupiter and Saturn come back. I mean, Jupiter and Pluto come back together in Capricorn. So if we think about Jupiter expanding our awareness and sense of what is possible, then what we want to be open to and act on is a new constructive vision for life on Earth. So it begins with what we can imagine and imagining what is possible. And the thing to remember is that anything is possible if we believe it. So things that we thought were impossible years ago have now become possible because there's been a shift in our belief. And Pluto's job is to help remove the obstacles so that these possibilities can then come into form, these visions, this sense of what we can create anew. But Pluto has to first dismantle the things that are in the way of it. So this requires that we dive into the shadow realms where we can excavate and transform the fears and the limiting beliefs that we may not even be aware that we have. So taking that deep dive and then asking questions of ourselves. And there'll be a few more questions we'll have a little later, but here is a great question to begin with. Are we willing to surrender to the alchemical process of transformation and be empowered in ways we haven't yet imagined? I know I am. I'm hoping many of you listening to this are as well, because the more of us that are doing that and are willing for that, the more possible it becomes. Now, the alchemy of Jupiter and Pluto occurs when we are able to successfully embrace and face all our shadow, including any limiting beliefs we have about the possibility being whether it can happen or not happen. And also when we embrace the grief, the anger, and the hurt that we may have suppressed for various reasons, and allow ourselves the place to feel that and then to transform it through that process. Not to blame, shame, and complain about others, but to really do that deeper inner work. So, in a culture that believes in not enough, including not being good enough just the way we are, and not enough resources for everyone to thrive, we have come into a very competitive culture. And the collective shadow really is based on an economic and cultural reality where we have a handful of people who have grabbed all the wealth and a huge percentage who are left out altogether. Now, of course, Hippocrates reminds us the first thing for anything that we do and how we engage life and choices that we make is to do no harm. Because when we harm others, we harm ourselves. And I know that many probably justify their power and wealth grab, forgetting that we're all connected at some point, and that the harm that is done to others ultimately finds its way back to those who have perpetrated the harm. So we may want to consider these questions. And it's like looking in the mirror, looking at our shadow, embracing that darker side of ourselves, what we're most afraid of. This question, are you willing to surrender and face your deepest fears? Now, I will say from my own perspective, there are days I am more willing than others. So it just depends on what's up, and it will be uncomfortable. It is not a comfortable feeling, and it can be often very messy. Um, and are these fears in front of you, even if you aren't willing to face them? So sometimes, and we can see what's been going on in the global world in 2020, a lot of fears are up and we can't get away from them. So if we're willing to surrender and face them and integrate them and be empowered by them, we are far along the path and probably in a place that is better than other people might be experiencing right now who are still at the effect of their fear. So, are you in denial of what scares you? Are you blaming others rather than looking at what is really going on for you? So, this is, it, it is what it looks like, and it's also not what it looks like, I guess, is one way to look at that. And it's an opportunity for us to go deeper and to look at, okay, what scares us? And so, if you are experiencing events beyond your control that are bringing up fears you didn't even know you had, are you willing to look at that? Are you willing to be with that? Are you willing to excavate that and see what's there for you so that you can become more empowered? Are you at the effect of addictions, expectations, limited perspectives that are holding you back from experiencing the magnificence of your true self? Are you embracing what scares you, trusting that doing so will ultimately empower you in ways that you haven't even imagined? So, these are some questions to be with and to help support us as we experience this Jupiter Pluto alchemy that lasts into early 2021. They're going to stay within a few degrees of each other for quite a while. So Jupiter and Pluto magnifies the shadow within and around us that is holding us back from living harmoniously with the earth and each other. So here we are on one planet and we're all in this together. And it's really essential that we practice kindness towards ourselves and others. So the thing to really realize is that our empowered self is willingly letting go of any falsely perceived need to have power over others or give our power away to survive. I know I've done that. I've done both, probably. Realizing true power comes from the inside out and celebrates all life. So, when we're really in that place of standing in our power, this is the experience that we have. And it's then we can celebrate with each other rather than be in competition. So we can say that maximum empowerment occurs when we choose it and we take responsibility for it and we are willing to surrender to the fears, to the old forms, to surrender what it is that we've been trying to hang on to, whatever we need to surrender and let go of so that we can become more empowered at this time. And that is the true alchemy of Venus, sorry, Jupiter and Pluto together. So I encourage you to stay tuned for follow-up videos. I'm going to do some more on the alchemy of Pluto and Jupiter as a personal signature. So fascinating to look at, and also how it's shown up in the past and some other ideas about that. So I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get the alert when these are posted. And if you want to find out more, I have a whole 18-page article I wrote about Jupiter and Pluto that's on my website and will be also in the notes below when this is posted on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has been helpful and inspiring.